everybody. Thank you for coming to another episode. I am Lidia Rodriguez, and this is Small Biz Spotlight 210. So, if y'all could please stay to the end of the video, I do have some real good information for you and for the next episode as well. Okay, so what I have here for today is Yvette Salinas, and she is a lawyer, but for a very important subject that I thought to bring to you all because I have had family issues with the kind of stuff that she deals with. Okay, so if you can, get a pen and pencil, grab your cup of coffee, because this is going to be an important episode. So, like I said before, thank you so much for joining me for another episode. If you are new to me, what I'm trying to do with this channel is exactly what the title says, is to bring a spotlight to some small businesses, restaurants, artisans, vendors, women-owned, veteran-owned, everything. So if you have a small business and you'd like to be on my YouTube channel, please email me at smallbizspotlight210@gmail.com. Okay, so we're going to be doing supporting locals, supporting small businesses. Okay, so let's get to it. Sorry.
The allergies.
Yeah, woke up really bad.
Allergies this time of year.
Okay, so Yvette.
Yes.
Full introduction, name, family, all that
Got
good
it. So my name's Yvette Salinas. I was born and raised here in San Antonio. I did leave to go to law school in Houston, and then I came back immediately after that. So I am still a San Antonio native.
Good. So your family is from here?
My family is from here, yeah. My grandparents are here, both sides, my parents. My brother moved. He moved to Seattle, but other than that, everybody's here.
All right. Okay, so did you always want to be a lawyer?
I actually did. I was one of those weird ones that knew from the beginning that it was something I wanted to do from a young age. So maybe about middle school age was when I kind of started looking into it and knew that was what I wanted to do. I've kind of changed what area of the law, but I always wanted to be in the legal field.
Okay, so what kind of law do you practice?
So now my practice is primarily focused on probate, estate planning. We do property stuff. So a lot of people will come to us when they want to do like just a real estate transfer. They're like, hey, I have this real estate contract. I don't understand it. Can you explain it to me? Or they want to do a cash sale, right? They're like, hey, I just need a quick flip. They're investment people and they need a contract and a deed to be done really quick. So we do a lot of that. We do some business formation. So I know you have like a lot of other businesses, helping them set up their LLCs, partnerships, doing that. And then we get a lot of contract review, right? A lot of people sign contracts. They don't know what they're signing. They just sign it without reading it.
See, I told you that was important.
Everybody signs contracts without reading it, and then something happens, and then they come to me after the fact wanting me to fix it. And at that point, it's a little bit harder for me to kind of take action because you willingly entered into this contract and you agreed with it, right?
Once you put your signature on
there. And so we do a lot of contract review where we do it charged just based on like the amount of pages that it is, right? And so I'll review it and tell them, okay, I think, you're okay signing this, or, oh, I don't like this provision. Maybe you need to go back to them and negotiate something else. Or just explaining what the contract is itself. So we do a lot of that also. So a lot of our stuff is just all transactional. We don't do any litigation.
I was gonna say, were you that?
No, I did a lot of that when I first started because I used to do family law. So for the first 7 years of my practice, I did family law. So I did all that then. And I did criminal law for about a year along with it. So I used to do all of that at the same time as doing what I do now. And then I just kind of started getting rid of things that I wasn't as passionate about. And now this is what I just primarily focus on.
Wow, I've always wanted to do that. I object. you said you studied in Houston.
I did. So I actually did my undergrad here. So I have 2 bachelor's degrees. I have a bachelor's in political science and a bachelor's in English. I was one of those students that was like, oh, I'm going to do extra. And then I actually went and got my master's degree while I was applying for law school because I wanted to fall back in case law school didn't happen. So I actually have a master's in political science with a minor in legal studies.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I got into law school, and so then I went to Thurgood Marshall in Houston, and so I have my JD. So I have a lot of degrees.
Yeah, you can go just about in anything that you want.
If something ever happened and this stopped being something that I could do, I have other things to fall back on.
That's good. That's very good because you just never know. Okay, so you have your master's. But the reason why I really wanted to interview you is something that is very important that a lot of people put to the last minute. And that is the estate planning, the wills, and probate. I mean, the thing that I think a lot of people think of, and including myself, was I always thought, okay, if I write on a piece of paper what items go to who, it was good. It's done. That's my will. I put on there, I of sound mind, say,
and body,
and then that was it. But
that's not it's not, you're not completely wrong. In the state of Texas, that's known as a holographic will, right? So if it's 100% in a person's handwriting, it's known as a holographic will. But it's harder to get admitted through the court. You have to go through a lot more hoops. Not you, whoever you leave behind, right?
Oh, okay.
So they're going to have to take it through the probate process.
Right.
While that is a valid will, it has to have certain requirements, right? Like it has to be 100% in your handwriting, signed. Usually prefer it's dated, right? But it's one of those things that then, whenever your family takes it through, it's not just I wrote it down and it automatically goes to whoever. You actually have to take it through the probate process, right? And in doing so, they're going to have to produce witnesses who knew your handwriting, who can attest to it. They're going to have to do other affidavits from all of your children. Even if you left some of your children out and you're like, I don't want them to get anything. You have to do affidavits to say they were your heirs. It's just a lot more tedious when you do it that way than when you actually get it done formally and properly. So while that is a valid means of doing a will, a lot of people will do those when they're like on their deathbed and they have no choice. Right. But if you have, but if you have the opportunity to plan ahead, it's best, right? I don't ever encourage holographic wills unless you're like end of life on your deathbed and have no other choice.
Told you this was going to be an important episode. So if you need to pause the video, get your paper and pen, because you're going to want to write some of this down. If not, just like replay the video over and over. Okay, so how specific do you need to be in your will?
You actually don't have to be super specific. I have a lot of clients that just want to do a general, like basic will. They'll just say everything I own to my spouse, alternatively equally to my 2 children, right? You can be as general as that, or I have clients who are on the opposite end who want to be extremely specific, right? I leave this car to this child, and I leave this house to that person, and I leave my dogs to this other person, right? So it's just a personal preference as to what you want to happen. You can be general or you can be specific.
I guess it would have to also depend as far as the family dynamic.
Correct.
Right? Because like if you got kids that are going to be fighting over stuff, the more specific the better.
Correct. More specific the better, but there's also in our wills what we will draft is what's called a specific omission. So if somebody specifically wants to leave their child out and say, hey, this child was never around, they never paid attention, they never came to visit, because we get that a lot, right? They never came to visit, they just kind of left and never looked back. We can do what's called a specific omission and say, hey, I understand they exist, but I'm leaving them out, right? So it's up to you. We've also have people who are just like, you know what, I really just don't think they should get anything, right? I'm going to say that they, you know, if they get anything, they get something small. When we draft ours, we put a no contest clause so that if anybody wants to fight, they essentially don't get anything. It's a way to prevent people from fighting, right? that's something that I always encourage clients to do because, again, like you said, the family dynamic, they might be getting along now, but once you're gone, they may be at each other's throats. So it's always best to plan ahead. Hopefully you don't need it, but it's always best to have it.
Exactly. Okay. So some of my viewers might be confused. So can you explain to them what is the difference between wills, estate planning, and probate?
Okay. So wills is specifically a document that says how you want your property, your belongings, what your funeral wishes are. It's your wishes for what you want to happen upon your passing, right? So I always tell clients to think of it like a wish list. It's what my wishes are. I wish for this car to go to this person. I wish for this house to go to this person, right? But that's not actually carried out until you go to the next portion, which is probate, which is what you asked, what's the difference, right? Probate is when somebody passes. They've already passed. Whoever they have named as their executor is now the person who gets to step into their shoes to be able to carry out these wishes. But you have to formally get appointed by the court, right? So it's taking it through that court process to be able to change titles to properties, change titles to vehicles, right? It's not just I did my will and it's done. You have to go through the probate process. There are other avenues to avoid probate, and that's something that we help in our office with, right? Because a lot of people don't want to go through probate. They want to avoid it. There are alternative options to that. That goes into the next category, which is part of your estate planning, right? There are things to do to plan your estate so that you don't get caught up in the probate process. Estate planning in our office is considered the will, medical power of attorney, financial power of attorney, your HIPAA release, your advance directive, which is your wishes regarding life support, and then potentially a transfer on death deed, which would transfer the property outside of the court system. That's what I consider estate planning, because you're basically tying up all your loose ends and getting your estate in order for when you pass.
That would be the most ideal way
Correct.
to do it. So a will is a wish list. If you don't leave an estate planning document, then whoever you've left to deal with everything after you die is the one that's going to have to deal with everything.
All the mess, yeah. And if you don't have a will, the law is not very, it's not very nice in making it easy for who you leave behind. You'd still have to go through the probate process, but you do it without a will, and that process is a nightmare. It's much more time consuming. It's much more expensive. It's very stressful. I try to avoid it for clients as much as possible. It is an option. It's still doable, but it's a lot more hoops to jump through than if you had just gotten a will done.
Right. So, okay, now the reason why I'm also bringing it to my viewers is because my family had to deal with this specific situation. And when I found out, I was like, what? Really? So the situation was, even if you are married and both names are on the mortgage, and let's say one spouse passes, the house can still go to the state.
Potentially, right? So in your situation, your family member, they were married, they were both on the mortgage, they were both on the note. The mortgage company makes it difficult, right? All mortgage companies are kind of a nightmare to work with. And so in that situation, it didn't matter that the wife was still on the note, husband had passed away. They still wanted some type of court order saying that she's legally the only one who's entitled to receive. So she had to prove that she's the only one who receives. Even though all the children were of the marriage, so it goes to surviving spouse, she still needed legal documentation. And that process was a nightmare because we had to jump through so many hoops. We had to do a bunch of different court things. The process took us, I think, 2.5 years just because it was so long to get through because they didn't have a will, right? So it just makes it difficult. It's not an automatic. People just think, oh, well, I'm the surviving spouse. I automatically get it. It doesn't work that way. It's not an automatic person to this one. And now so many people have blended families where they're in a second marriage or in a second relationship. And so you have to consider that because the children from the first relationship take priority over the new spouse. So there's other factors to consider when doing your estate planning, because it's not just an automatic, okay, my husband and I bought this together, it automatically goes to the survivor. It's not as simple as that.
That is crazy to me because I had always thought, if we are legally married and we bought the house together, it just made sense to me that there would be like no issue for the surviving spouse to get the house.
It's not, because even if you are the surviving spouse, like in the case that you talked about, even if you are the surviving spouse, if you do have all the same kids, same mom, same dad,
and you've lived there for
20 years, whatever,
it doesn't
matter. You still need some type of legal transfer to remove that person from the deed and put it 100% into the survivor's name. So no matter what, you're still going to have to do some type of title transfer to show that that person is removed from it. Mm-hmm. So it just gets very messy when you don't have things in order. It can be done. I can fix it. I can help fix it. It's just it's going to cost you.
That's why
it's going to cost you more, and it's going to take me a lot longer to fix it.
In this situation, where everything which you said, we thought it was okay, took 2.5 years. Can you imagine being in limbo with your house, not knowing you have your kids, whatever age they may be, and you don't know if you're going to be able to stay in that home?
Yeah.
Just because,
And a lot of times those mortgage companies are not very nice, right? So they're going to be like, hey, you've got X amount of time to fix this or we're out. And they'll try and give you a faster deadline than what the court's even able to do it, right? So then that's where we come in. And we have to then, send something to the mortgage company, hey, we're underway in this legal proceeding, we need you to halt it, put a default on it to hold it off, but they won't do that unless they receive something from an attorney saying, hey, we're in this process. And it's unfortunate because people do lie about it, right? So unless they see it from an actual attorney's office, they're like, oh, well, how do I know that you're actually doing this?
Because then they give you the sense that they're going to evict you from your home. Where are you going to go? You're already paying for, I don't know, like you may have funeral expenses, and there goes all your money, and you think you are out of options.
Yeah.
But we have an option.
Yes.
We have
There's always an option.
We have Yvette Salinas who will take care of that and tell these mortgage people, hey, hold on. Back up. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, another question that just popped into my head is that there's always going to be like, what do you call bank accounts. Do you take care of that?
So the bank accounts are actually something that people don't realize you can designate a beneficiary on. You should, so that it's an automatic transfer. If you do not have that, you will get caught up in the probate process, because what happens is the banks lock those accounts out. You won't be able to gain access without a court order. So then that's where the probate process comes in, where you have to go through those channels to be able to get that court order, to be able to gain access to that bank account.
So in a scenario that I'm thinking of is that you had a joint account, you are working and your company like direct deposits it into that account. You still wouldn't even be able to get into it because it's locked.
Yeah. If you're not a joint owner on that account, like say it's a husband and wife, if you're not a joint owner on that account, they're going to freeze that account and you will not gain access to it. We have had clients in that position multiple times and they're like, well, I can't pay the mortgage because they will not give you access without a court order.
Wow.
Yeah. People don't realize it's very, very important. Have a power of attorney, which is good while you're alive. Have a will for when you're dead. Have a beneficiary. Like, it's so important. Like, that's why we emphasize for people to come into our office, get the consultation, so we can give you the information so that you can decide what's best for you.
Wow. And it's never too early, guys. I love that that's what you say on your social media.
But it can be too late.
It can be too late.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's never too early, but it can be too late. Like, I have all my stuff in order, and I'm hoping to not go anytime soon, but you never know.
You don't know when.
Yeah.
So let people come on. It's really this is 2025 already.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that we're taking care of our family and every kind of issue that could possibly come up, because we are not guaranteed tomorrow.
Tomorrow is not guaranteed, no.
Okay, so, wow. How can we get a hold of you?
The best way is we do offer free consultations in our office. You get an hour free consultation. If you want to schedule an appointment, you can contact our legal assistant. She has direct access to the phones all the time. 210-415-4917. That's our office line. You can also text message that number if it's easier for you to communicate that way. If you prefer to do like a website contact so that you can give us a little bit of information about what you need assistance with, you can go to our website. It's YvetteSalinasLaw.com, and then there's a little form you fill out. It sends us an email, and then one of us, whether it's myself, my office manager, my legal assistant, somebody contacts you to get you situated and get you on our schedule.
All right. And as always, guys, you know that I will put all her information in the description box below, and I'll probably have her phone number somewhere around there, so we can get a hold of her for this. Absolutely important that it must not be left for the kids to deal with, or whoever else is left behind. Okay, so what do we need to bring in at our appointment?
So really, it's just, if you're going to do any type of estate planning, just who you're going to want to list as the person in charge, right? Their phone number, their address. Same thing for properties, whoever you're going to leave that property to, their name, their address, that type of thing. And then if you have like your original deeds, we always tell clients to bring that with them. It makes it easier for me. I can look for it, I can search for it, but if you have it, it just makes it faster for me to be able to answer your questions. If not, then I end up using a lot of your meeting time to do a search and try and find out what I can find. And sometimes the records aren't always updated. So if clients have it, it's best for them to bring it with them. Just makes it a little bit easier for me to kind of utilize that time most efficiently.
So deed for the house, if it's still under mortgage, that
information,
cars, VIN numbers,
correct,
insurance and stuff like that.
You don't need the insurance or anything like that, just the vehicles. It's going to be make, model, year kind of thing. And then if you do end up coming to our office, we give you a questionnaire that literally has everything that we will need. So we make it easy for you, so don't stress if you don't have it. A lot of the times people just take that questionnaire, they fill it out, and they bring it back to us, and then we go from there.
Okay, so are you the kind of lawyer you need a retainer?
So if you're doing any type of estate planning, once you do decide to hire, then that's when we ask for that deposit. Again, your initial consultation is free. Once you decide what route you want to go, what works best for you, then that's when we go over the invoice, what your cost is going to be, and then what it breaks down to.
So it all depends on what you're asking for as far as the retainer.
Correct.
Okay, so everything is going to be
It's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. So what social media are you on?
We do have a Facebook page. Our Instagram is not really that live right now. We're working on it, but Facebook is probably the best place that you can find us if you need to see like our social media aspect.
Okay.
And then we have a pretty big Google presence. So.
Okay. So
if you need to find us, we're on Google. We pop up right at the top.
Okay. But like I said, her contact information will be down in the description box for any of y'all. It's super important. It's never too early, but it can be too late.
Yeah.
So thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for doing this.
You're
this
welcome.
Was super important. My family went through a lot, especially because it was during COVID and everything, and I really don't want any of y'all. If you can avoid it, avoid it.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I wanted to bring all this information to you guys. So thank you so much for staying to the end of the video. It was pretty much short and sweet, to the point. Because this was important. So thank you for staying to the end of the video. I do offer all of this. Many already of you know I offer this to small businesses free of charge. So if you want to help me continue this, please go out there, give me a thumbs up and a subscribe. That really does help me to get their information out there And as you can tell, this was super important information. Okay, so what I have for you that is important information, other than give me a subscribe, is next Thursday's episode is going to be Jennifer Rodriguez. Now she has a small business called Biosphere Diagnostic LLC. Wow, that's a mouthful. But let me tell you, her small business is in the cutting edge. Let me read this to you. Cutting edge energy and weight loss infusions.
Oh, interesting.
It's cutting edge, guys. Okay, we got a doctor that I spoke to before I interview her. Yeah, it's cutting edge. So please, I'll see y'all next week for that one. Okay, so y'all enjoy your Thursday, enjoy your weekend, and start thinking about estate planning.
Yes,
Get a
very
hold-
important.
get a
Contact
hold
our
of
office.
Definitely. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good one. See y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.